Just when I thought the iPhone SE couldn't get any worse, Mac and Takara had to drop this bombshell on me. So I'm all about tempering expectations, and I think that's what we need to do here today, because a lot of you are probably excited for Apple's spring announcements, but they are honestly incredibly boring. Let's begin. So what's the bad news aside from the fact that the only differences with the iPhone SE 3 is that it's getting the A15 chip, which should allow for some general speed improvements, 5G, which is going to result in substantially lower battery life on an already weak battery life iPhone. But now Mac Takara is saying MagSafe was not even included on the iPhone SE 3, which means it's the first iPhone they've launched in basically 2 years that's not going to support, you know, the design your iPhone setup or all of the MagSafe accessories between the Puck, MagSafe Duo, the MagSafe wallet, especially not even the MagSafe battery pack, which would have been the perfect upsell on a $399 iPhone. You know, hey, by the way, you should also buy this battery pack because 5G is gonna suck the living life out of your phone. So no, they don't even have that. I'm crossing my fingers that they come out with some kind of battery case that just plugs in via Lightning and supports MagSafe on the back. If for whatever reason you couldn't find a way to just tack in some little magnets on the back of this phone, how low effort do we have to be with the iPhone SE? I knew it was a recycled design and most of the phone wasn't changing. I'm just asking for a couple of little magnets on the back, please. That's it, just little magnets, and that would have made it so much more worthy of an upgrade, especially because my wife has always been a fan of the current generation iPhone SE. She doesn't want to upgrade, but if there was a chance of her upgrading, it was absolutely going to be this next version of the SE, and the fact that if she does even upgrade that later down the road, it's probably now not even going to work with my MagSafe accessories either. Oh, Apple, you know, sometimes I try to expect the least amount of effort from you, but it's not always enough. I'm just kind of disappointed prematurely already. But I guess the news that we should be talking about is that the iPhone SE 3 and the iPad Air 5 are now in production. We've seen them register them with the Eurasian database, which is kind of the final steps we see before official announcements. But the iPad Air 5 sounds like the most basic spec upgrade you can possibly get with an iPad. We're going from a 14 chip to a 15 chip. Ooh, okay, cool. But you still have Touch ID, you still have the same exact LCD display, you just have center stage, you have the 5G option, you got the A15 chip. I'm not even hearing anyone say that they're gonna add the flash to the iPad Air 5, which might mean it's one of those mini 6 exclusives because the iPad is smaller, therefore it's more likely to be used for tablet photography for some. No, that argument's just dumb. But after hearing these reports about how minor and how small the changes are between both of these new products, and the fact we know that the new iMac Pro isn't coming out in the spring, that's making me think, do we really need a spring event? I mean, Apple loves having their events now, even when there's not that much to announce, but frankly, I'm kind of starting to miss the website refreshes, especially the unexpected ones where we just kind of wake up one day and suddenly some new stuff appeared on the Apple Store. It allows us to kind of just dwell on what the changes are, and at least in my opinion, it felt far more classy. You know, it was just class for Apple to just drop a new update, and we were like, oh, this is kind of cool. The tech YouTubers hype it up a little bit, and we act like it's the coolest thing ever, but Apple's just like, yeah, we upgraded the SE. Oh yeah, we upgraded the iPad Air. Instead of getting invites sent out there where everyone gets super duper excited, we have like 50 people say, oh, I bet there will be a one more thing this time. Oh, and I bet it'll be Apple Glass, and I bet AirPower's ready. And then there's all this hype and anticipation, gets a ton of us to watch the event when it finally happens. We do our recaps and reactions and prediction streams and all that, and then going into it, we're finally met with like, oh yeah, we threw in a couple of new chips in these two devices, and that's about it. And everyone just walks away with disappointment, hoping for better events later in the year. I get that it's best for Apple's marketing team to have as many eyes as possible on whatever Apple is announcing, no matter how boring and insignificant it is, but isn't there a certain amount of disappointment factor that we should account for and try to plan around? Maybe not. Maybe disappointment doesn't really matter because us in the tech community are gonna get excited for any Apple event, no matter how insignificant it may be. But this absolutely sounds like the most boring Apple event we may ever have since the pandemic has started with all these virtual keynotes. And there has been some short ones, there has been some uneventful ones, but this one, man, I gotta admit, the spring event last year, we were spoiled. First of all, it was on 420, got a new Siri remote, got new AirTags, got the M1 chip in the iPad Pros, got a completely redesigned iMac, whether you like it or not. That was a big event to have in the spring, and and I'm just hoping there's some kind of secret surprises Apple has in store for a spring event if they do have one. An M1 Pro or M1 Max, Mac Mini would be epic, but because of the chip shortage, I doubt that. Or maybe AirPods Pro getting refreshed early. I know everyone else is saying it'll come out later in the year, but man, a site refresh I just think would be so perfect for the scenario Apple's running into right now, which is incredibly minimal effort on their part to update these devices. I guess don't buy an iPad Air right now if you want to wait for the new one. You only got a couple months to go. How do you guys feel about the iPhone SE not even sporting MagSafe for another year? Do you think this is fine? Is this a deal breaker for you? Feel free to let me know down below if any of you are actually in the market for the SE3. Do you genuinely care if it has A15 chips in it or 5G modems? If you have a battery that small, you probably should care about that a little bit. This is your Apple Shape here. See you all in the next one.